These are the properties of multiplication. Again, dealing with properties, it just gives us a rule book for how to approach different questions throughout mathematics. So for multiplication, we have more properties than we did for addition. The first property is the commutative property, and just as before, commutative still represents the order, and so we're saying that A times B is the same as B times A. That just means if I take 3 times 5, it's the same as me taking 5 times 3. It doesn't matter the order I get. Each way I'm going to get the same result of 15. For the associative property, again, that means grouping. So same as we did with addition, we can say if I'm taking 2 times 3 times 4, whoops, let me write that differently. If I'm taking 2 times 3 times 4, it's the same as me taking 2 times 3 times 4. So those are going to give me the same result. Either way, you should have a result of 24. The identity property we also had for addition. For addition, the identity property was adding 0 because adding 0 would not change whatever number we added it to. For multiplication, we can't use the 0 because the 0 obviously would give us a result of 0, which we'll get to in a moment. For identity, I'm starting with A. What could I multiply by to get A? I would multiply by 1. So A times 1 equals A, or 1 times A equals A. So 1 multiplying by 1 essentially gives us whatever we started with. The other two that we didn't have for addition, the first is called the multiplication property of 0, and I alluded to this just a moment ago. So we're saying for any numbers A, if you take that value times 0, you're going to get 0. So anything times 0 is 0. And the distributive property has a little bit to do with addition and a little bit to do with multiplication. But the distributive property says if I have a value that's being multiplied by a sum or a difference, that I would then take the A times the B and the A times the C. So I would distribute the multiplication across the sum. I would take A, distribute it to both B and C, so A times B plus A times C. We might also write that as AB times AC because it's not necessary to have the dot in between when you're dealing with variables such as these. So let's take a look at these examples. We are rewriting we don't have to do any of the simplification. So the first one, rewrite using the commutative property. Remember, commutative means order because you're commuting to work and then coming back. So if I'm rewriting this, I would write it as 4 times 3. So I just switch the order of the two values. For my second one, the associative property has to do with grouping. So instead of 2 and then parenthesis 3 times 4, I would write 2 times 3. And then if you want to put the times, you can. If you want to write it right next to it like I did on the last page, you're welcome to do that as well. And the distributive property, this one, notice, they did ask me to simplify. Coming back to this one, 2 times 3 is 6, and then 6 times 4 is 24. And on the last one, apply the distributive property and simplify. So obviously, if I were just finding the answer, I would probably take 3 plus 4 first to get 7 and then take that times 2. But they want us to apply the distributive property. So they want me to say 2 times 3 plus, distribute it to the 4 also, 2 times 4. 2 times 3 is 6. 2 times 4 is 8. That would give me 14. Notice what would happen if I would have done it the original way, which is taking 2 plus the sum. That would give me 2, and then 3 plus 4 is 7. 2 times 7 is 14. So notice I'm getting the same answer either way. It just depends on how they're asking me to solve it. Try these 3 on your own, then press play to see how you did. For the first one, 6 times 2, using the commutative property, just says switch the order of the two. Commutative is order, so now it's 2 times 6. They didn't ask me to, but if to simplify, I would turn that into 12. For my second example, the associative property says rewrite it with different groupings. So I'm going to take 4 times 6 and then times 2. And if I then simplified, 4 times 6 is 24, and 24 times 2 is 48. And applying the distributive property, again, I would distribute the multiplication to the 6, so 4 times 6, and the multiplication to the 2, so 4 times 2. To simplify, 4 times 6 is 24, 4 times 2 is 8. If I add those together, I get 32.